Sometimes the biggest life lessons come from the smallest, most unexpected moments. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Can something as simple as a cup of tea, really, reveal a whole lifetime of wisdom? It might sound a little out there, but let's find out. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story begins in a place called Haridam, and it's here, in this pretty unlikely setting, that a group of visitors is about to get a lesson they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. All right, picture this. The year is 1994. We've got a small group, just 8 people, visiting from Germany. They're in India for the first time for many of them, exploring this place, the Haridam campus. And to really get where they're coming from, you've got to understand just how new all of this was. For Pravan and Michael, this was literally their first time ever in India. Then you have Manibai, who was kind of the expert of the group, and he'd only been twice before. So yeah, they were all completely immersed in a culture that was totally different from anything they knew. And it's right here, in the middle of all this newness, that someone makes a request. A totally simple question, but it was asked at what seemed to be the absolute worst possible time. So the group has just wrapped up this long tour of the campus. They've seen everything, from the factories to the farms, the whole shebang. The official program for the day is totally done, and it's in that quiet, unstructured time that, well, spontaneous things tend to happen. And that's exactly when Michael, probably just trying to soak in the local culture, pipes up and says, "Hey, what about having some chai?" It seems like a perfectly reasonable suggestion, right? Well, here's the catch. It was 11 o'clock in the morning. And on this particular campus, that is definitely not chai time. The tea service was long over. The kitchens, they were already deep into prepping for lunch. But because they were visitors from another country, they were considered VIPs, so they get pointed towards the special VIP canteen. And when they walk in, the place is completely empty. Okay, well, almost empty. There's one person inside, a saint, a man of short stature, and he's just quietly cleaning the room, totally absorbed in his work. So the group, completely unaware of the time or the circumstances, they just walk right up to him and ask their simple question: "Can we have some chai?" And his response was just 2 words: "Why not?" And with that, he immediately stopped what he was doing and started to prepare the tea for them. So what did "why not" really mean in that moment? Because it was so much more than just a simple yes. It was the lesson that the group, especially Manibai, was only just beginning to wrap their heads around. And get this, here's the first big surprise. That humble man who was cleaning the canteen, that was Prabodh Swami, the person in charge of the entire VIP canteen. He wasn't some helper. This was his domain. This is where the cultural translation becomes absolutely fascinating. For the German visitors, "why not" was a simple, straightforward yes. But in the Indian cultural context, the subtext was profound. It meant, you've asked for something that isn't ready, it's a huge inconvenience, but I will go completely out of my way to make it for you. This kind of selfless act of service actually has a name in Sanskrit: seva. It means doing something for others without any expectation of a reward or even a thank you. And that is precisely what the visitors were witnessing, right in front of them. But here's the thing. This single moment wasn't just an isolated incident. It was like a tiny window, a quick glimpse, into an entire life that was dedicated to this very principle. There's a line that just captures this perfectly. It was the small glimpse of his life, but it shows how he lived. That "why not" wasn't a decision he made in the moment. It was the very fabric of his character. And this wasn't just a one-day thing or a good mood. This tiny glimpse represented over 50 years of this exact same attitude, of selfless service, of accepting everyone, of always responding with "why not?" So what's the path to actually learning this lesson for ourselves? Well, the story shows us a kind of 3-step process. First, you observe an ideal example, like Prabodh Swami. Second, you understand what they're doing, in this case, just making tea. But the crucial final step, the one that changes everything, is to understand why they do it, to grasp that spirit of seva that's driving the action. And this is the core message of the whole story. Sometimes the most profound lessons, the ones that really stick with you, don't come from big scriptures or philosophies. They come from just witnessing a living, breathing example of those ideals in action. Which brings us to our final thought. That moment in the canteen was a powerful, silent lesson. So let me leave you with this question. Who in your life teaches you the most important things, not with their words, but simply by how they live?